Sat on?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, first question, where did you start? Like, where, college-wise, and just what's your start?
So, I actually was a student at the University of Utah
Okay.
from 1987 to 1990. And I grew up in Salt Lake, and I started coming to the University of Utah because my father was actually a professor at the University of Utah.
Oh, cool.
Not only was my father a professor at the University of Utah, my grandfather was a professor at the University of Utah, and he was also the dean of the business school back in the 1960s.
Wow.
So I
awesome.
don't know if that's the start and the end right there. That's the whole story. It was destiny. So I kind of come from a family of educators, and I was a little bit stuck in a rut, I guess. Although I never thought I would. I never thought I would become an educator. I was going to be a basketball player because I was really good.
Did you play at the U?
I did not play at the U. I played in high school, but about my sophomore, junior year, I quit growing. And the next year there was somebody that was faster and taller and a better shooter, and that kind of ended my basketball dream. But it was actually pretty good because I quit basketball because I realized I wasn't going to be any good, and I actually started taking a history class from a teacher. Her name was Pat Farrell in high school, and not that history is important, but Pat Farrell was the person that kind of made me realize I could actually study and do well in school. And so she kind of switched me from being an athlete to being a student, and that was really great for me in the end. So I came to the University of Utah. I decided I wanted to go into business, and I started in business, and almost by default I decided that there were two majors that were more interesting to me, and that one was accounting and the other was finance. And the reason I chose those wasn't necessarily for an innate interest in them, but because I thought those were the harder things to learn. So I wanted the challenge, and so I picked accounting. While I was going through school, I started working at a company. It was a small company that made bicycle packs and backpacks. It was called Lone Peak Design, and it was a startup at the time. So just bunch of people trying to figure out how to sell stuff, and they let me. I started as an inspector. I was inspector number 9. Right, I just inspect backpacks as they were made. But while I was doing it, I was taking these classes in business, and I was learning these concepts. And I would walk in, and I would go into the company president and go, "Hey, I just learned about this today in class. Do you mind if I try it out?" And so they started letting me try these things out. Right, so I built their accounting system. I built their production system, all while I was going to school. So it turned out to be my business laboratory. And so I'd learn stuff, and then I'd go, try to pull it off at work every afternoon when I worked.
Yeah.
And that turned out for me to be really, really fun. That's where I got my love of business, because I realized you could be super creative, and I liked creating things, and I liked building things, and so that was really pretty important. So I finished that. When I graduated, they had a job for me, but I realized it probably wasn't a job that was going to take me long term where I wanted to be. So I took a job. I graduated in accounting. I took a job with an accounting firm called Arthur Andersen. They are now bankrupt, but they were one of at the time, the big 4 accounting firms, international accounting firms. I took the job, and I honestly almost immediately realized it was not a job that I was going to like. I went to training. I remember sitting in training. I went with my best friend. We both took the job. And I love the people, actually, by the way. I wouldn't say this. The people I worked with there were amazing.
Was it the company, or was it just accounting?
Just the work. Yeah, it was auditing work. What they wanted me to do. I was at training. I turned to my best friend. I go, I just don't think I can do this. And he goes, neither can I. I'm out of here. He actually quit like 6 months later and became a sales rep. So complete change. I decided what I was going to do is I was going to stick with it, because what I realized is I did get to see lots of companies, and that part I loved. While I didn't love the auditing work, So I saw a lot of companies really fast, and every time I would go into audit a company, I got to talk to the president and all the people, and so I kind of used it as more learning, and I stayed there for 2.5, 3 years. I said I was going to get an MBA. So after roughly 2.5 years, I left Arthur Andersen and went to business school at the Wharton School of Business in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And that was actually really, that was a lot of fun. So 2 years there as an MBA, and while I was there, I had kind of figured out that my passions were, kind of in the area of operations, a blend between the area of operations and finance. And a lot of that had come from that experience I had as, as an undergraduate working and trying to put that stuff into practice. So I got an MBA, but while I was getting my MBA, that's when the family genetics kicked in. While I was getting my MBA, I was trying to figure out a way to pay for school, and so I became a research assistant for these professors. And they were doing some really fun research. So we were going into automobile assembly plants, and it's where they make cars, right?
Okay.
And so we'd go in, and we were trying to figure out what was happening to the productivity of the labor. So by productivity, we mean working faster, slower, producing more output, or producing less. And so they had me just start working on these automobile assembly lines. So I was like putting on carburetors and cruise controls
Did you like doing that?
on these cars. Oh no, it was miserable. but what was fun was actually trying to figure out why the line would slow down, why they wouldn't produce as many cars in a given day. And what I realized is the other part of my brain that I really liked to use was just kind of this really inquisitive and curious part. And so turned out I loved these research projects I was working on, because I got to just take something on new every day. And so as I'm doing these research projects, the professor started saying, hey, you're pretty good at this stuff. You might want to stick around and get a PhD. So after I finished my MBA, I stayed and got a PhD. My PhD, to get a PhD, you do 2 years of coursework and then 2 to 3 years of original research, and then they give you one. My research was in the area of what I call product variety management. And so the basic gist of it is a company offers a set of products, and what you want to do is you want to offer exactly the thing that somebody wants, right? So I want to give you that black suit with that color, and somebody else may want a different color. But as you offer more variety, the costs of offering that become really tough to manage, and so you can actually go bankrupt if you offer people everything. So my focus was on how you choose as a company what to offer to people, and then how you manage the costs on the other side so that you don't go bankrupt. So I asked really deep questions like, how come there are over 150 different choices of toothpastes? And do we really need, sensitive teeth toothpaste? Do we really need gel? And right? So those were the really deep questions that I researched. But anyway, it was fun. So I did that for 5 years, and then afterwards when you get out of your PhD, you have a set of research that you have to go present at different universities. So to get a job, you go give a presentation of your research for about an hour and a half to faculty of different universities. And so I went around and did that for about a half a year, and I had a variety of job offers, but I ended up taking one to come to the University of Utah. And so
this is your first job here, like at the U? You became the dean?
No, I didn't become the dean. I became a professor. So
professor.
I started as an assistant professor in 1999. I started as an assistant professor teaching at the school. And I actually was here. I did 3 visiting positions. To become a full professor, you start as an assistant professor, and then to become what's called a tenured professor, which means you have lifetime employment as long as you're productive. You have to go through about 7 years of performing research and teaching, and you have to show you can teach well and do research well. So, while I was doing that, I actually took a couple visiting positions. So I went back to my school in Philadelphia and taught at Wharton. I went to a school in St. Louis, Washington University, St. Louis. and then I went to a French business school, INSEAD. So I moved my family to France for a year, which is really,
fun.
really fun. It
Yeah.
was really fascinating. And after I got done at INSEAD, I had tenure. They asked me if I was interested in becoming dean, so I said, yeah, sure, why not? And that was in 2009. So I've been the dean since 2009. And we've tried to make a lot of changes around the school since then. So that's how I got here. And then,
That's amazing.
there you go.
Yeah,
That's a great
that
story.
was great.
Yeah.
I like answered all of our questions
So
about how you
basically
started.
was this whole part right here.
All right, that's good.
Okay, so what's a typical day?
Typical day, here, I'll show you. So today, this is actually not atypical. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 meetings today. And so I'm in charge of the whole school. The school, to give you a sense, has 5,000 students. We're one of the largest colleges at the University of Utah. The University of Utah has 31,000 students.
So you're in charge of 5,000.
5,000 students. There are probably 400 employees. That's faculty and staff. We have revenues of about $70 million, and we have to grow. We try to grow at about 10 to 15% a year. So,
Wow.
so, you know, the big things that I try to do is to make sure we're on track to grow. I have to help set the strategy for the school. So not only do we want to grow, but we want to increase our reputation and quality.
Exactly.
And so that becomes kind of tricky, and I can tell you, how I do that. So today, if I look at the things I had to do, I'm meeting with you guys, obviously. My next meeting will be with another dean who's in charge of admitting international students. We have, with all of the Trump stuff that's going on, the immigration, we're having a rough time getting our international students here.
Yeah.
If I don't get my international students here, my revenues will go down. So I've got to try to solve that problem.
How do you
in the
solve
next
that
half
problem?
I have no idea, but I'll let you know in 45 minutes. So that I run our alumni group, right? So we have 30,000 alumni around the country, and at noon today I had to give an hour and a half talk to about 50 alumni. So I was down talking about the school and what we're doing, and if you want to hear that presentation, I can give it to you. The meeting before that, our sophomore year is going to be a completely global program. So instead of teaching semester-long classes, we're going to teach classes in 1 month blocks. So you'll just take one class at a time.
For sophomores?
For sophomores.
When does that start?
And we're starting this next fall.
Okay.
And we're opening up 4 cities. So you can go to London, Sydney, Hong Kong, Buenos Aires.
For a whole month?
Well, or you can go longer. You can choose to go for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days,
That.
So do you do
120
that in
days,
the summer or just whenever?
year round.
And
So
you
we're going to
just take
teach them
one
the same
class?
way. You just take one class. You'll go with 40 kids. You'll take,
Does it add up to taking like a whole year
Oh, yeah.
of classes?
so for example, you may say, you know what, I want to go to London and I want to take finance, because London's an international finance market, right?
Yeah.
So we'll send you London. We've rented a college at Cambridge for part of the time. So
Really?
students are just going to be there taking classes. And then, gee, I want to learn about manufacturing. Well, the world's manufacturing is being done in China, so
Yeah.
you'll
Wow.
hop a
smart.
plane for the next month, and you'll go to Shanghai, China,
That is
and do that.
so
And then
cool.
a lot of the big marketing challenges are to market to third world developing countries, and so we'll send you to Buenos Aires, and you can.
So is this only for the business school or is this for the whole
It's just for
UVU?
the business school.
That
Yeah,
is-
so if you're in our business program. So
is
so
awesome.
that was my meeting and we have to design the program and keep it small, or not small, but we have to keep it affordable for people. And so that's what I did then. The meeting before that is I have an HR problem. What does that mean? I've got problems with employees, and so I had to sit down and try to figure out how we solve those, and sometimes they're solvable and not. And the meeting for that was fundraising, because I have to raise, for all these programs, I have to raise scholarships, and so we have to raise about $10 million a year. So
What kind of stuff do you do to fundraise for that?
So I travel a lot.
Yeah.
I'm on the road. I mean, I'm a, diamond medallion, which is as high as you can get in Delta.
Yeah.
I probably fly 180,000 miles a year.
Oh, really?
So I go visit people and you try to see what they're interested in. There are a lot of folks that are really, have done well in life and they want to give back to society, and so you meet with them. They're often our alums, and you try to understand how they want to give back. We opened up a new building called the Lassonde Studios.
I have some friends that live there.
Yeah, so Mr. Lassonde is one of those alums, and I got to go visit with him, and
Where does he live?
lives in Toronto, Canada.
Cool. And he went here?
He went here, and so we went up and we said, Pierre, what do you want to do? And together we came up with this idea, and
Genius
yeah,
idea.
it's really working well. So there you go. So that was one of the things I got to do. That was fun.
I think my brother is gonna apply to be a director or
Yeah.
something at the Lassonde.
Yeah. No, we had 1,400 applicants for 400 spots.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, those are the types of things that I kind of do. But that's, like I said, I travel probably 40% of the time. Well, right now a lot of international travel to try to set up these programs in various countries.
Yeah.
So it's fun, and I love spending time with students. So I probably in a given week I'll have 5 just kind of meetings with students. Sometimes it's a student group. Yesterday I visited with 15, 20 students. On Fridays I teach a leadership class where I often have speakers come in. But there are 70 students in my class, and I get to know them pretty well. So that's kind of fun. Does that give you an idea?
That is.
Yeah.
That's a busy day. 8
It is.
meetings.
Yeah.
That's true. How do you handle your stress? Is this a stress?
It is a stressful job. It is. So you get used to it. Anytime you start a new job, there's just a lot of stress. I have kind of 3 or 4 tactics I use. So first of all, I try to exercise as much as I can. So I get up at between 5:30 and 6 in the morning, and I go work out for an hour to an hour and 20 minutes. And so that just keeps stress to a baseline. The other thing that I do is I have a really good assistant who kind of manages when it gets really stressful. I don't you can tell I'm not in a stressful time right now because I have a lot of meetings. My capacity to deal with meetings is a lot better when I'm not stressed, but sometimes you just work on it with scheduling. And then you have to take some time to yourself, so sometimes you just have to take a long weekend. So probably every, 3rd month I take a long weekend and get away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But stress is just part of the job.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Just have to learn to kind of deal with it.
Yeah. Sure.
So, do you have any advice to give to high school students that are going into business?
I do. Come to the U.
We both are. We both have siblings, family.
Oh, good.
It's the plan.
So I think one mistake that any students make is they don't try enough things. A university is supposed to be a place where you come in and try.
Put yourself out.
And so yeah, it's, too many times people come into my office and they'll say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, doesn't matter. What did you do today? Right? And so there are literally half a dozen things in a given semester that you can try. And guess what? You can quit the next day. There's no problem, right? And that's what you do. So that was my issue growing up is I didn't try accounting. So for some reason I went into accounting and I didn't like it. I should have known that, right? I should have known that. So you should just try things. In fact, our freshman program, the Business Scholars Program, is basically set up so the first year you get to try everything.
You gotta do
right?
all different
And I've had
disciplines.
2 kids that go through it. And my daughter came home and she said, Dad, I hate accounting. I go, perfect. I wish I would have known that years ago, right? I mean, it's just fine.
Yeah.
You should learn the things you hate, right? And because it means you can then focus on the things that you potentially will love. And to be honest, they're not you don't find them immediately, right?
Yeah.
You have to try
Takes
them
time.
and
You
see
have
it
to try
takes a little bit of
everything.
time. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, it's just as valuable to learn what you hate as it does, you know, in the beginning. So that's kind of what we try to do here.
Yeah. So is there like any subjects or like any other advice you would wish to give us?
That we haven't gone over
That- yeah,
yet.
that we haven't
Anything
gone
that
over.
you think we should know?
Yeah. No, I think you guys are probably a lot smarter than I am. So I think you're probably just fine. I think
But-
you're in good shape.
Okay,
Alright.
No
well,
problem.
that's it.
All right.
looks
Well,
like
thanks you
it's-
guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so
No
much for
problem.
taking the time to talk with
Hope I
us
see you guys up here on campus
Oh, of course.
this fall.
this fall.
Yep.
Perfect. It's a good camp. It's fun. I hope you live up here on campus
Yeah,
too.
I applied for the dorms
Did
a couple
you?
days ago.
Good. Yeah. It's people in the past have said, "Oh, it's a commuter campus." It's really not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think there are 2,000 students that live just on campus alone now, most of them freshmen. And then if you go just to these blocks down below campus, there are another probably 4,000 or 5,000 students that are, you
Just
know,
in
in houses down
Yeah,
there.
well,
And-
Yeah,
brothers.
my brother got an apartment just right around here.
yeah,
That's way
and
close.
so I mean, my kids, we live 4 blocks away. My kids went to East High, which is like,
Yeah,
you're like, I'm
high
gonna
school,
go to
middle
the U,
school.
right? Yeah, exactly. But you know, they came up here and lived on campus. I never saw them, right? It's like
They lived
yeah, they
in
just
the
came up and lived on campus, lived in the
Yeah,
dorms.
that's what
and-
most people are saying. Like most people in church, like I don't want to go to the U. Like I feel like it's too close to home. But like I see my brother like once a week,
yeah, that's
maybe.
that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Like, they
that's
never
the big
come
mistake.
home.
In fact, my daughter came to me. She goes, "Dad, it's like I didn't even realize Salt Lake existed. There's a lot of stuff when you're a
Uh-huh.
student that you just kind of figure out. I mean, you know, they obviously go skiing with new friends. They picked up a whole new set of friends.
Yeah.
And so again, you
Exactly.
just kind of jump in, get involved in fraternities, sororities, or
Yeah.
you know, clubs and
Mm-hmm.
anything. You're gonna be great. So it's a fun
Super
place.
excited.
And then the sports are awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard there's like a new like club soccer team opening.
Oh, that might be true.
Yeah, because it's like the D1 team and then like the club team. And
Yeah,
it's, like,
actually, I had heard that.
it's a little less traveling for me
Is
because
that
D1
right?
is always traveling.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
too much for me.
It is. Yeah,
The
my
club team
son
would be
played
cool.
D2, and it was tough. It was hard. I mean, it was
It's
really,
hard to balance it out.
Yeah, very, very hard.
College is rough.
Teresa, my assistant, her husband is actually the men's club coach. So my son.
Oh yeah, I went to the business dinner.
I got the next meeting.
Yeah, but I just need to send this because they're waiting to send out an offer letter.
Who's this for?
You need a pen?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
He has about 20 around here. So,
I really
It's
don't.
okay. I lose mine like every day.
Yeah, always I gotta have a couple.
I can,
Oh yeah, I saw that today. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, yeah. So come up, jump in, tell all the kids in your schools. They always say, "Oh yeah, I got to somewhere else." I'm like, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
Honestly, the U, I compare schools on a monthly basis.
Mhm.
I take trips, and we've got a lot more going for us than like 90%
That
of the other
new
schools.
monthly class program
Yeah,
is
that sounds
genius.
awesome.
I'm definitely gonna try
Yeah,
to do that. My brother studied abroad. He
Mhm.
went to London, then he went to Paris and Rome.
Did he?
He loved it, but like the fact that
Was
he
he?
could go
Did
for
he do
a
it with
month.
the business school?
Yes,
Yeah.
he
So
was in the business college 2 years ago.
Did
but
he?
so he went.
Yeah. So he did all those. So
Mhm.
that was our little pilot test, right, for the summer. We're gonna keep that going.
But
But
you're
now-
also just.
But
gonna
now
do
you can
the-
start doing year round, right?
Yeah.
Just bounce
That's
around your
definitely
sophomore year,
something I'm looking
and
Yeah.
I think you'll learn a lot.
Because you do different things, like you can do accounting, finance, but you're also like experiencing their culture as well
Mhm. Yeah,
and their type of economy. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. So anyway, starts this fall. Got 20 students going for the first time to Cambridge.
Oh,
That'll be
yeah.
40 in the spring, and then the next year we'll probably bump it up to 160 per semester. So it's gonna ramp pretty fast. There you go. You'll be ready to go. All right. Thanks, you
Perfect.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Nice to meet you.